Before you hire another coach, fire that employee, or change your offer for the third time, you need to look at your business's birth chart because you and your business are in a relationship, and I have a feeling you're in the we need to have a serious talk phase. So many entrepreneurs struggle with all the different aspects of their business: the marketing, the social media, who to hire, what to outsource, creating the offers, doing the work, taking time for vacation. Entrepreneurs are rolling a ball uphill when the business birth chart lays it all out there. It's the instruction manual. You birthed something, you created something as an entrepreneur. Whether that is a brand, an LLC, an offer, a service, you gave birth and put something out into the world. And that has a birth chart. And that is the way in which you can relate to your business the best way possible. So I want to introduce you to this concept today, and don't scroll away if you're not an entrepreneur. Maybe you're someone in the corporate world and you're trying to get your boss's attention or land that next promotion. Your personal birth chart is going to hold the key to your superpowers, asking in a way that allows you to receive the yes, being in the correct industry that is aligned for you and your chart. Or maybe you're building a personal brand. Maybe you want to do social selling or affiliate marketing, or you're trying to create, some brand awareness around who you are in the world on social media. And again, we would look at your birth chart for different placements and ways in which for you to attract and align opportunities. A long-term client of mine just came to me and wanted to burn her entire business to the ground. The money stopped flowing in. She felt completely uninspired. Her offers weren't landing with her typical customers. And I could tell the panic in her voice that we needed to have an SOS emergency session. And the interesting thing is, I actually helped her plan and launch this business years ago. We lined up the astrology to be perfect for the type of offer she was putting out into the world, the type of business she wanted to build. But it's been years and she hasn't looked at that business birth chart since. So where she knew she launched that business with very specific intention, she hasn't been following the roadmap. So what we did in her SOS Aligned CEO session is I essentially pulled up her business birth chart and we had a conversation around the relationship she's having with her business and literally not understanding what her business needs from her and where it's at in the world today. Because as the astrology affects you and affects me, it affects anything with a birth chart. And that included her business, your business, my business. And so with just a few simple tweaks, like changing up her social media platform to rebranding the colors, which it should have been that way from the beginning had she truly wanted to explore deeper into her business's birth chart, and also the way in which she was communicating her offers out into the world through her email marketing, she felt so inspired, so aligned, and now we just wait for the money to roll in. So if you're into all of that and you want to make your entrepreneurial or career journey a lot easier, grab your tea. I'm going to take a sip of mine. I'm having the Capricorn blend today in the Astrology tea collection that I created because Capricorn is the energy that symbolizes long-term success, wealth, and the ability to keep going when things get hard. So you take a sip, I take a sip, and let's dive in. You're listening to the Relational Astrology Podcast, where we use the powerful tool of astrology to transform relationships in every area of your life, from romantic to personal, professional, and beyond. This isn't your typical astrology podcast, and you don't need to be an astro expert to join in. Get ready for real-life examples, practical tips, and tools you can start using right away to strengthen your connections. Ready to improve the relationships in your life? Grab your birth chart, and let's dive in. Let's do a little astrology foundation before we get into all of the details. First, understanding what is a business birth chart and why do we need to know it? So when you birthed that thing into the world, it could be an LLC, it could be an offer or a service. You could have decided to launch a podcast, start a blog, or maybe you're in the corporate world and you decide that you want to go for a certain position, or maybe you decide that you are going to start selling on TikTok Shop. There's many different ways to look at this. So we're going to start with entrepreneurs first, and then we'll dive into the other modalities. So if you created a business, what is the business birth chart and how do you know which one to use or the timing to use? This is how I explain it to my entrepreneurs when we're working together to determine their business birth chart. So this means you've already created something and now you want to know what it is so you can go back and realign. When you created the thing, there was an energetic imprint when you put it out into the world. So let's say you want to go with your LLC. I'll have most of my entrepreneurs go into their email and look at when they got the email confirmation that their LLC was accepted. When was it official? And we usually use that email confirmation as the time. Now, what if you don't have an LLC? So for example, I use my LLC for my spa business, but for Holistic Soul Sisters, my secondary business, I only have it trademarked. I don't have an LLC. I run it under my other business's LLC. And so I use the time that it was trademarked. Now, I don't know the exact time or moment that it was approved, but I went with the time that it was filed. So when I worked with my lawyer, I asked him to file it at a specific time, and that's the time that I use. Now, if I have something else like this podcast, for example, I use the time that I hit publish, which is what a lot of my clients do if they're putting together a website or they're creating a membership or some sort of offer, a retreat, they're launching the announcement for a retreat. We're looking at the time that it went out into the world. So for example, this podcast, I launched it, I announced it at 10 a.m. on 11/11. But that's actually not the time that I use the birth chart. I'm going to use mine as an example throughout this video to help you understand it all. I actually use the 2 a.m. time. And why? Because before it could go live to the world, I had to do a trial run. I had to post it, make sure it played. I had to get the descriptions right. Like I had to get it all lined up for the announcement at 10 a.m. And so think of your business birth chart in this way. When you file the LLC, when you do the trademark, when it goes live behind the scenes, it's like a baby being born. You don't post your child on social media the minute it's born. You don't call your friends and family and say the baby's here the minute it's born. It's just born. And it inhaled and it took its first breath, and that baby then has that energy. You and I, when we look at our own birth chart, we look at the moment we were born as our own energetic blueprint. Your business has the same thing. That is its energetic blueprint. That's how it's meant to be in alignment. Let me give you an example. I had a client come to me and she meant to launch her website, which she's been working on for a really long time, on a specific date. And she was working on the website. It wasn't done. She wasn't even close to the launch date. She was over a month away. And all of a sudden, she doesn't know what happened, but some button, something popped up and said, your website is now live. And she was like, oh my God, what did I do? Is that my business's birth chart now? And she called me and I said, hold on, it's meant to be this way. And it doesn't matter if it happened on purpose or on accident, it's now live. This is now what it's meant to be. You can fight against that and you can try to use the birth chart that you wanted it to be, but that's not how things work. Some things are divinely led to us and they're meant to be birthed through us, just like children, right? Maybe your baby was due to be born on a certain date and it came early, it came late, or you had to get a C-section, right? It was meant to be born through you. And so you have to work with when it was born. Now, I do have some entrepreneurs that struggle with the exact time because they just don't know. And then we try to get as close as possible. And that's where I help you in one-on-one to determine before we do a reading. Now, let's go back to those of you in the corporate world trying to create success, trying to create more wealth, or those of you creating a personal brand. So I had another client yesterday who I've been working with for a long time. I introduced her in the intro in my story, who came to me and said, I don't really know what to do with this new offer. I put it out there and we're going through this whole experience. Let me give you another example. I had another client come to me recently and she was having issues with her business and she's in the coaching industry and just, feeling stuck. The 2025 vibe, right? We all are going through it in 2025. And so I was asking her, I've never done a business birth chart reading for her, only a personal reading. So I know her birth chart. And I said, okay, talk to me about your business. Do you have an LLC? When did it go live? And for her, she actually started her business coaching people, but didn't really think she'd make any money. So it wasn't until a year in that she was like, oh crap, I need to hire a tax accountant. I need to get an LLC, like all this stuff. And so it didn't really feel right to use her LLC from a year after she started her business, but she has no idea when it began because it just kind of happened. And then I started talking to her and I was like, do you feel though that you're your business? Like you're the brand, you're the coach. Like it's not really more than you, you're a one-woman show. And so we decided to use her personal birth chart, her personal branding, because she is the business. And that's where we work together to help her understand how she should be showing up in the world, her North Node, her destiny that she's meant to infuse in her business, how she's supposed to be seen and how she's respected by others, how she attracts and magnetizes people in. Like we broke it down in a way that helps her be the most successful coach in her business. And this also applies to those of you in the corporate world. You have superpowers, you have talents. in your birth chart to unlock that will help you be seen, be heard, be recognized, be praised, to get clients and people to say yes to you, to sign on the dotted line. And so understanding the business birth chart, whatever that is going to help you move forward and create more abundance in your life. If you don't think that millionaires and billionaires and people in the corporate world are using astrology, you are delusional. This has been going on for centuries. Royalty. There are many actors and actresses. There are many, many famous people that understand the value of using astrology to create more success and fame and wealth in their life. And it's about time everyone else understands how to use it too. So that's kind of the premise of the business birth chart. Now, what can it tell you? So let's break down some of the placements and things that you're looking for within the business birth chart and what can it actually tell you. So we're going to use mine as an example for this section. So first and foremost, when I'm looking at a business birth chart, when I'm looking at someone's personal chart for success and wealth, the first thing I want to know is the rising sign energy. And there's two reasons for that. The rising sign being the ascendant, the constellation coming up on the horizon, the first house placement. This is the energy. Remember, all the zodiac signs are just energies. They're lenses, they're vibes, they're perspectives. The rising sign is the energy that people need to feel on first impression when they're introduced to your business. It's not the meat and potatoes. It's not the conversations you have one-on-one in your offers. It's not even what's happening in your membership or inside the programs. It's not what's happening at work on the day-to-day and what you do with clients or your coworkers. This is the vibe that either you give off on first impression to attract and magnetize people to you if you're using your personal chart, or it's the vibration, it's the energy that your business needs to show me when I'm introduced to it. When I come across it on social media, what does it look like? What is the vibe? What am I getting? When you're talking about it at a networking group and you're giving a 1-minute pitch, what is the vibe? When you're emulating in your business, when you're out and about in the world and you're a representation of your business, the vibe on first impression is the rising sign. So we're going to use my podcast birth chart as an example. This is a Virgo rising chart. And so when you first are introduced to the Relational Astrology podcast, it needs to feel like it's going to solve one of your problems because Virgo is of service. It's going to make your life better. And it's going to use communication as a tool to do so, as Virgo is ruled by Mercury. And so hence a podcast. It could be a blog. It could be a book, right? But perfect for a podcasting birth chart. Now, Virgo energy as well is all about the details. And so you know that when you're coming to this podcast, I'm not skimming over and doing high conceptual thoughts. I'm giving you the details. That's why some of my videos can be really long. Now, the best part about this is if I look in my own birth chart, which is also what I do for a lot of my clients, is I want to see how they fit into their business. And we're going to talk more about that in a part 2. So stay tuned for next week. Subscribe and come back where we're going to do part 2 of business birth charts and the relationships in your business birth chart, like the relationship you have with your clients, how to attract ideal clients, how to hire the right people in your business, like CPAs, how to hire people to work for you, like contractors. If you are in the corporate world, how to, get along with your coworkers, like et cetera, et cetera. The relationship stuff in your business is part 2 next week. But I'm going to give you a little taste of that right now. So when I'm looking at this podcast, how do I, Mandy Rose, in my own birth chart, show up to make this podcast a success? Well, guess who is a Virgo sun, Virgo Mercury? This girl. So the way that I communicate and the way that I show up and shine is Virgo energy. And that's exactly what this podcast needs to be successful, at least on first impression. So that's how I blend myself into this business. Now, second thing, after you understand the rising sign, and this is when I work with clients to help them with their social media, right? What is the vibe? For example, Gemini rising. Let's say your business is a Gemini rising, like one of my clients yesterday. She needs to have quick, short format content. And she was doing like 10-minute long videos on Instagram Live. And I was like, no. Your business is all about quick, short format content. I want reels, I want trends, I want witty, I want lighthearted, I want lists, I want surveys. Like I want things that capture my attention quickly because it's Gemini, right? So it's the rising sign helps me help a business owner to understand what their social media should look like, what platform to be on, what type of content to create. Also, when you're talking about this at networking events, what people need to feel when you walk in the room, when you're presenting your business, your offer, and all the things. If it's a personal brand, right? This is the energy you're going to give off on social media the minute someone lands on your page. It's the hook, it's the vibe, it's the feeling that you're giving people. The second thing I'm going to look for then in a business birth chart is I'm going to look at the second house. The second house indicates how someone or something like this business, like this offer, like this podcast brings value into the world. And when you bring the value in a way of the zodiac sign of the second house, you then get rewarded or returned an energetic exchange of wealth, money, resources from the world. But you have to be of value in the way of the second house of the thing. And so in this example of my podcast, it has Libra in the second house. And so the type of offers that I give, the way that this podcast is worthy to the world in exchange for money and your time of sitting here and listening to me, has to deal with Libra themes and topics. What are Libra themes and topics? Relationships, partnerships, making your life more beautiful, pleasurable, and harmonious, which is everything I talk about as a relational astrologer, right? And so no matter what I'm talking about in astrology, it's in an attempt with you to have more peace in your life, to have more clarity in your life, and to have better relationships. And so even though, again, my podcast was launched at 2 a.m., when I meant to do it at 10 a.m., it was in perfect alignment. I didn't even try. This just came birthing through me. I hit live, to test things out, and I went with that time, and it's all in perfect alignment. So the second house is what your offers need to be and how you need to be in alignment with the world. So for example, I have a client who has Sagittarius in the second house in her business, and she's a counselor. And so Sagittarius is about travel, it's about adventure, it's about taking people on a journey, it's about exploration. And so her offers need to be like retreats, going to places with people, hosting workshops out in the world where people are connecting. And in her coaching programs or counseling offers, they need to be long-term investments that are going on a journey. They're going on an adventure. It needs to feel exciting. It needs to feel spontaneous. It needs to feel like they're expanding their mind, that they're gaining wisdom, that they're gaining knowledge. It can't be mundane, short, one and done sessions. And she was doing it backwards. And that little tweak started to shift her business. Now, let's say, again, you're in a personal brand, you're in corporate, you are trying to, get a promotion. You would look at the second house as the energy that you need to offer in the world to make your money, to attract your resources to you. So for example, let's say you have Cancer in the second house, you're a Gemini rising. For you personally, the way for you to attract resources and money into your life through your income is going to be in ways in which that you make people feel safe and nurtured and soothed and mama beared a little bit. So let's say you're in the corporate world, that's going to be protecting people. That's going to be standing up for people. That's going to create safe emotional environments. So you're having, in-depth conversations. You're asking people's opinions. When you're with your boss, you're always showing up, with like the treats and the candy. You are seen as a mama bear to the world and someone that's going to fight to the death for their cubs. That's your value. That's your soul's blueprint. That's what you signed up for. If you're a social influencer, right? You're building a personal brand online. I would be talking about topics and selling things that are related to home, family, property, real estate. I would be talking about things that make people feel safe, offering self-care products, all the things related to mothers, women, and families and homes. That's Cancer energy. So that's how we use it in those different ways. Now, once we create your offer, we know based on your second house what you should be offering long-term versus short-term, in person, online, retreats, traveling for business, like all the different potentials of offers that you may have, digital content, pre-recorded content, in-person sessions. Then after that, we have to determine how you're going to sell it. How is the world going to know what you have to offer? We're going to look at the Mercury placement, because Mercury in your business represents the communication, the language, the tone, the messaging. And so if you're an entrepreneur and you're having to do your own marketing, this is going to be the key, the secret sauce. Why your business isn't attracting, because it's not aligned, because it's not using the superpower of the Mercury placement. And if you're outsourcing your marketing, oftentimes when you outsource your marketing and you don't get successful results from the marketing company that you hired, they might be marketing in their Mercury energy or in the way that they see fit, but it's not in alignment with your business. And I would love one day to educate marketing agencies to have an astrologer on staff to analyze their customer or client's business birth chart before they get to work on the marketing package, on the marketing portfolio, because it doesn't work for everybody. And so for you in your own business, look to the Mercury. We're going to use mine here as an example. It's Sagittarius. And so the messaging with Sagittarius is fun, optimistic, and exciting. Most people have told me as an astrologer, I am not doom and gloom, and they love this perspective. How I'm optimistic, how I make it fun, how I take these big, big concepts and break them down, make them tangible. And the Sagittarius energy is taking you on a journey through a story. It's storytelling. So as an astrologer, I have a hard time being like, Mercury's at this degrees and this and this and that, and it means this, and like very tactical. And that's my nature. I'm a Mercury Virgo, but it doesn't work for the podcast. The podcast isn't day-to-day transits. It's a story. It's an explanation. It's taking you on an adventure. So whatever the Mercury is, the way that which you communicate it. So I communicate on this podcast differently than how I communicate in my other videos that aren't for the Relational Astrology podcast. I communicate differently in my health coaching business. And then I communicate differently when I'm just Mandy, when I'm just me in my relationships and my friendships, because I'm aligning with the vibration of the thing that I created. Now, if you're a personal brand or you're in the corporate world, you're looking at your own birth chart. You're looking at your superpower, your Mercury. What is the messaging? How do you need to be speaking? How do you call people in to listen to you? What are the words that you use? So let me give you an example. I had a client that had a Mercury in Aquarius. She's building a personal brand. And she was speaking like a mama bear on her social media. Oh, let me help you do this. Is this fixing you? She was talking to the problem. She was talking to the wounds. And I was like, girl, no. Your Mercury's in Aquarius. We're talking about the future. We're not talking about people's past and where they've been and their trauma. Like, you need to capture attention and speak about the futures, the possibilities. You're painting the dream. You're helping them see that the future is whatever they desire. We're speaking to the next step, the next evolution, where they're going. You're going to be rebellious. You're going to say things that shock people. A 180 from the way in which she was speaking. And that was her personal Mercury. This is how she should be supercharged in that within her business to attract in the financial abundance. So if you're a social seller and you have a Mercury in Aquarius, I want you to start your hooks and I want you to sell the product by being a little rebellious, by being a little unconventional. Say the thing that is going to shock people. But not everyone should be shocking using their social media, using their messaging. Other people are meant in their natural energy, in their energetic alignment, to be more heart-centered, to be softer, to be compassionate. You know, you see people on social media and some are like aggressive. You should listen up. And you're like, ooh, I'm listening. And they're yelling, right? Like a Kylie Perkins. But other people are really soft and really delicate, and they just like, they're comfort creators, and you just want to lean in, and they talk really gentle, so you're like really perking up your ears. How can two people with completely different Mercuries both be successful? It has to do, number one, with the way in which they're resonating with their own internal energy, and then it's attracting the people, the clients, that vibrate and perk their ears up with their Mercury placements in similar energies. It doesn't have to be Cancer to Cancer. It could be Cancer to water Mercuries, right? So that's a whole nother topic. Again, part 2, we'll get more into the client relationship stuff later. Okay, the next thing. We know what I want to see on first impression. We know about your social media content strategy. We know about your offer. We know how to market the offer. And now I want to know how you're going to attract people to you. So we look at the Venus placement. This is the brand colors. This is the aesthetic. This is what it looks like. And this is how it's going to attract people into the offer, into the service, into the business. And so, again, using this as an example, my podcast is it has a Venus in Sagittarius. The colors of Sagittarius energy are bright, bold, and confident. The reds, the yellows, right? It's bright, it's bold. So my cover graphic has the bright red. It captures your attention. Most of my thumbnails are really like bold, right? Sagittarius, it's extra, it's fire. So you want to use fiery colors. I do my makeup, right? Like kind of more bold. I put my lashes on. Like the presentation of it needs to feel exciting. And it needs to be different, right? Spontaneous. Sagittarius gets bored easily. So I'm wearing different outfits. I have different styles. In each episode, I'm kind of dressing for the topic or the theme. I have different backgrounds. Sometimes I'm in my living room. Sometimes I'm up here. I'm changing the colors in the background. Like Sagittarius does not want to be bored. And so I got to keep switching it up and making it exciting. And that's the vibration of this podcast. But I don't run all my businesses like that. I look at the Venus placement. A client of mine had Venus in Pisces. So her brand colors were going to be ethereal, romantic, dreamy. She needed to make people feel like it was a dream, that their fantasies could come true. Like the imagery, we had imagery that was like soft and kind of like fuzzy. We had different images that were like old glam Hollywood. We added those into her website, into some of her marketing. It was just old Hollywood glamour. It had to feel like, this is so delicious, right? Because it was a Venus in Pisces. The colors were more like pastels and soft blues. All of those apply to a Venus in Pisces. So that is going to be the energy that's going to attract people to you. If you are a personal brand or you're in the corporate world, you're going to dress for your Venus placement. Okay. So again, like I said on the podcast, I'm going to dress in a way that's like Sagittarius. Fun, bold, exciting, spontaneous. It's always going to be different. We're going on an adventure. So I'm going to be dressed for the adventure. If it's a personal brand, this is how you're going to dress at work, how you're going to dress in front of clients, how you're going to dress when you go on social media and sell your products or on Amazon or on TikTok Shop or whatever it is, right? So that's the Venus. The last piece of the puzzle here, and again, there's so much more. We could go deeper and deeper and deeper into so many layers, but I'm just giving you a little Cliff Note version of what my aligned business CEO readings look like, is I'm going to look at the 10th house. Because the 10th house symbolizes in the business birth chart what your business is going to be known as. Its public reputation, the brand messaging, the overlying theme, the reason for existing. The Relational Astrology podcast has a Gemini 10th house energy. And what is Gemini? Communication and technology, sharing information, connecting people together. And that's exactly what this podcast does. It is going to be known as a place on social media, on a place to connect and learn. Gemini energy is all about learning, right? Information that is going to connect you with other people and connect you to topics, conversations. And so this is perfect for a podcast. And I didn't even plan it, but podcasts, books, blogs, vlogs, anything like that, it's going to be so good with Gemini in the 10th house. Let's use Pisces again. Let's say you have Pisces in the 10th house. You're going to be known, maybe it's your personal brand, as someone who's a healer, someone who's a mystic, someone who's an intuitive. I had a woman who had a counseling business, and her counseling business was like her personal brand. She was selling herself as the counselor. So she's not in corporate, she's in a professional career. And, she didn't feel aligned of using her LLC. She wanted to use herself because she also does stuff outside of her counseling business to help people. And so she is known, the 10th house, she is known in a public light as the Piscean energy, as the Jesus energy, as the healer, as the mystic, as the intuitive. And I said, we need to lean more into that, helping people understand that it's not just logical concepts, that you're helping people heal on a deeper level using your intuition. Little tweaks and little adjustments to our business to bring in more clients and more wealth. So there are so many different ways to use the business birth chart. Now, let's say we're going to switch it all up here. You haven't launched anything yet. let's say you want to create your business birth chart. You're thinking, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to start my own business. I want to get out of corporate. I want to do something else. You get to plan when you want to launch the thing. So that's what I did with my trademark, all right? With the lawyer, I was like, can you file it at this exact time? And I thought he was going to think I was nuts, but he actually emailed me back and he's like, I actually get this a lot. It's not surprising to me at all. I have no problem filing it at this time. I'll put it in my calendar. And I was like, wow, apparently other people are doing astrology for their business. And this was back in 2022 when I filed one of my trademarks. So you have the opportunity and we can plan that around the astrology. Thanks to astronomy, we know where the planets are going to be at any given point in time for the next centuries. So we can be strategic in the launch of something. We can look ahead and say, this is the perfect time for this specific offer, for this specific LLC to go live so it embraces this energy. If you have a business, right? For me, the relational astrology business is its own entity. But then I have little offers like the podcast, like my membership, like other pieces of the business, and each one of them has their own vibration, right? When I do my readings and when I talk about relational astrology as a concept, and I have my courses, it's a brand, right? It has its own energy. But this podcast, it's totally unique. It's its own thing. And so even within your business, each offer, for example, I had a girl who came to me a couple months ago and she has her brand and then she started a membership program and now she wants to start launching retreats. And so I looked at the original LLC's birth chart. So I was like, this is the brand, this is the business. And then I looked at her membership and I said, when you're talking about your membership, we need to be using these colors to determine that it's different. That's a special offer. We need to be using these kind of words in our marketing. And we need to be sharing it in this way on social media, different from the brand itself, because that's just one offer that's so unique and different. And then for her retreats, we were looking at the perfect time for her to host the retreat. And when we host it at this time, when is the optimal time to announce it and launch it out to the world? And we actually used a lunar cycle because in her business, she had Cancer in the second house and it was ruled by the moon. And so her offers need to be in the lunar cycle. So she needs to have surprise, unexpected offers around eclipse season. She needs to launch new offers around new moons. And if she has a long-term coaching container, 6 months from the new moon to the full moon, or if she's launching a retreat and the retreat is in August at the full moon in Aquarius, we're going to launch it and announce it 6 months before at the new moon in Aquarius. And that's going to be a part of her marketing campaign because her business and her offers that are ideal for her business had the Cancerian energy ruled by the moon. So there's so many ways that we can use astrology to bring in more wealth and clients and abundance and success and fame into your business. I just wanted to introduce this concept to you, especially if you're an entrepreneur. I can totally relate. We are struggling. We're rolling a ball uphill. We're trying to do all the things. Or again, you're in the corporate world. You are a personal brand. You're a professional. And you just want to know how to crack the code to climb the ladder of success in your life. So I'm honored to share this with you today. I hope it was insightful. If you want to know more, I have a special PDF for you for free in the description box. It is Unlocking Your Wealth Codes, and it's all about the second house energy. What offers are best for you based on your business birth chart or based on your personal birth chart if you have a personal brand or you're in the corporate spaces and world. That is going to be so helpful as a starting point. Now, if you want to dive deeper, I'd be honored to lead you through that. For the month of August, if you're catching it in the month of August, my cosmic download theme of the month is the Aligned CEO business reading. If you don't know what this is, every single month I do one theme on special where I offer it for $99 instead of the usual $150. And that price is going up. So it'll be almost $200 for that type of reading. And then I cut it in half, $99 for the month. I do a limited amount. I only offer 20 per month based on the theme. And I call it the Cosmic Download of the Month. In July, it was mid-year check-in, so a mid-year review. In August, it is the Aligned CEO business reading. And in September, I'm not going to tell you. My Astro family over on Telegram always hears it first. So if you're in our Astro Weather Telegram experience, not only do they have a discount code for all my readings, all my offerings, all my courses, but they also are the first to know the theme of the month and they have an opportunity to claim them. If they don't claim all 20, it then goes to my email list. So if you sign up for the free PDF, you will then be on my email list and you will get second opportunity to claim the theme for each and every month. And then I announce it on my social media and I announce it here on my podcast. So this is your opportunity to grab the $99 Cosmic Download of the Month, the Aligned CEO Business Reading. What it looks like is you sign up for it. I send you an email. We have some conversations back and forth about what birth chart you want to use. I help you understand which chart to use. We do a little back and forth. Then it's pre-recorded. So we don't have to worry about you scheduling time and me scheduling time and finding the right time. I know for many of you, you want this information as quickly as possible. So I will pre-record it. I send it your way, and then you have an opportunity to ask some follow-up questions on Telegram. If you are catching this outside of the Cosmic Download special offer, outside of August, you can sign up for this specific type of reading at any point in time. I'd be honored to guide you through it. It's very customizable, again, depending on where you're at in your business, what you're needing. Maybe you need to do some forecasting. That's the last thing I want to share is maybe you need to understand the best time to take a vacation. Because I know my entrepreneurs, you struggle with taking time off, and there's going to be optimal times for you to take vacation. Because the astrology of today, if you're someone who loves to watch like horoscope videos, you love to watch the daily transits, like you're all about like what's happening this week in the cosmos. It's impacting you, but it's also impacting your business. Your business has a birth chart. So we're going to be strategic if you want to do more astro forecasting, when to launch offers, when to go on vacation, why things are happening a certain way, what are the lessons, what should you be focusing on, when to do your taxes, all of the nitty-gritty day-to-day stuff. And understanding where the hardest struggles are going to be in your business, where it needs stronger foundations, like so much to analyze with the astro forecasting side of business birth charts. So that is another opportunity as well for you. So remember, part 2, we're going to be diving deeper into the business birth chart and your personal charts as far as the relationships tied to your business. You're not just a one-woman, one-man show. You need clients to pay you. You need to hire people to outsource at some point in time. You need to get along and collaborate with other business owners in your niche, in your field, in your profession, so you can grow. You need to sometimes hire people if you're a boss or you're building a bigger company. If you're working in the corporate world, you need to get along with your coworkers. All these relationships are a big part of building your business. And the business birth chart is going to tell you exactly how to do that so you're not clashing and you're finding the most aligned people to help you create success and wealth in your life. And I end every podcast episode with what's in our orbit. We already talked about number 1 in our orbit is the Aligned CEO business reading, so we'll skip right past that. But number 2, what's going on in the Astro family is that we are raising our prices on readings, but for those of you in the Telegram experience, which is only $11.11 a month. You get daily voice memos. We do challenges. We do new and full moon ceremonies. We've got the group chat going on. So many special things like workshops that you can learn more, all included for a small fee for the month. But you also get, like I mentioned, the discount code. So none of the price increases affect you at all. You're going to have a special discount code as long as you're in the Astro family on Telegram. And the third thing that's in our orbit is the fact that I have officially put out the Astrology 101 course as it pertains to relational astrology. So many of you love this concept. I created relational astrology and I didn't see it anywhere else out there in the world because I'm obsessed with helping you have the best relationships with yourself and all the people in your life. And so when I'm looking at astrology, the lens I use is very unique. And so a lot of people wanted to learn more about the specific way that I use astrology. And so the Astrology 101 course does just that. It helps you have a better relationship to all the planets. Life coaches is what I like to call them. It helps you build the connection, the relationship to each of the zodiac energies. Because if someone in your life is a Gemini moon, but you have no Gemini placements, you got to know how to be in relationship to that. You have to know what that feels like so you can show up in a way that makes them feel safe and secure. You can start building the relationship to each of the houses in your birth chart. Do you understand what the 8th house means? Do you understand what the 12th house means? If not, then you're going to have a hard time when Mars is moving through the 12th house and knowing what to do because you don't even have a relationship to that area of your life. It's about building these connections. And also, I dive in how to have best relationships in your life by understanding missing and master elements in your chart and in the charts of the people around you. And I'm just so proud of this course. And it's such a good intro. If you're kind of new to astrology, you want to learn more about astrology, this is the course for you. And I did a lower price point so I can help as many of you get your foundation straight. So all the rest of the astrology concepts make sense. All right, with all of that, Astro family, thank you for being here. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things. Let me know in the comments what you love, what you want to know more about. Tell me what business you have. If you're an entrepreneur, shout yourself out so we can say hi and support you in any way possible. I'm all about collaboration. And until I catch you in the next episode, may the stars keep guiding you on your path. And I'll see you next week for part 2.